I'm going to say hello to everybody who's watching, which, according to my current countdown, tells me there's a total of 0. So I'm hoping I'm hoping that picks up a bit later, and that maybe some people will watch after the fact. But to be fair, because we've been chatting a bit too long, we're a few minutes out of schedule. So maybe some people were there and like, oh, I'm not waiting around for this.
Not waiting
This
for
was
those guys.
this was supposed to happen on the hour. Like, what the hell's going on? I gotta go and watch some more Maverick or whatever. I don't know. Okay, so today I have KC as my guest. And KC, just in case you've been living on another planet, KC stands for Kirsten Clarkson. And Kirsten has been an agent, a casting director, a writer, a director, and a producer. And now she divides her time between coaching actors and running a farm with her family, her dogs, cats, and chickens. Her prodigies have gone on to appear in such productions as The Act, Zombieland 2, To All the Boys I've Loved Before 1, 2, and 3, Supernatural, and The Main Event. So I welcome you, Kirsten Clarkson, to Talk Like That, and thank you for agreeing to come on my little show.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me. I'm quite flattered.
It was a no-brainer, really, because I've seen your coaching videos, and I've seen what you do, and it's pretty amazing stuff. So, and you've got a huge following, and you obviously you walk the talk, as it were. So it was like, okay, I wonder if I can get her to come on and talk about the talk she walks, and here you are, which is great. So I want to start off by asking you how many chickens you have, and did you give them names?
No. So the chickens are my husband's deal, really. He's the chicken man. We have about 100 chickens, give or take. It depends on the time of year, and where some of the chickens are not spring chickens, so they're headed off to. Depends on the time of year. Sometimes, sometimes we're saying goodbye to the chickens. We don't give them names. We don't get that close to them. They have a nice place to live, and they have a yard, and they get to go out and run around and stuff. They're happy chickens, but we're not close to them. I do have friends who name their chickens, and who have their chickens come in their house and hang out and sit on their shoulder while they're no chickens are really friendly and lovely. They're really sweet. Yeah.
We have 4.
You have 4?
Yeah.
Oh, so I thought you were saying crazy, but you're the guy who
No. I am one of those people that has a few chickens. I mean, it's really my wife's deal, to be honest, but I did get to name one of them. So we've got, let's see, the one I named is called Haley, Haley Eggwell, named after one of my favorite crushes, Haley Atwell. And see, the other ones are named after mostly by my kids. There's Dio, which is short for Diogenes. There's Helen Scheller, and there is what's the other one's name?
Helen Scheller. That is good.
And there's so the Diogenes, Haley, Helen, and Agatha Crispy. So those are the 4 chickens that we have, and I had to giggle when you said, "Oh, some of my friends have chickens that walk in their house." I heard my daughter shouting, "Who let the chicken in the kitchen?" and it's like, probably your mom. Your mom's probably gone out into the backyard and left the door open, and I know which chicken it was. I'm sure I don't even have to ask which one it was, because like when you've only got 4, you get to know all of their personality. Yeah, they all have their own personalities. They're so different. Like chickens are so different from each other. But anyway, when you've got like 100, you don't really have time to
No,
work
you
out
don't get to
there.
know them. I mean, they get to know each other. Speaking of wonderful personalities, though, Denisa is here.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I'm not good at last names, Denisa, so forgive me. I'm not good at pronouncing things, so forgive me. That's why Mark exists, because I can't do accents or pronounce anything. That's very difficult.
Well, I think her name is Romanian. I think it is. But so I would say it's Doftorianu. Here's the spelling of it anyway.
Nice.
So yeah, Denisa Doftorianu. I think that's correct. Yeah, she says, so great to see both Mark and Casey together. Yeah, finally.
Together again for the very first time.
Yeah, and actually I was thinking, because you've got chicken, I didn't realize you had chickens, but now I know you have chickens. I wonder, we should change your nickname to KFC. No. I'm here all week. Okay. So so we should mention to anybody who is watching this or watches it later that Denisa is one of your proteges, and actually she's one of my students as well now. So
wonderful.
She's someone that we have in common. Yeah.
Exceptionally talented actor. If there's anybody who needs an actor for a series or a film or a commercial or anything that you're doing, I highly recommend her. Everyone who works with her, including her agent, is completely in love with her. Just adores her. She is so talented.
I know.
Hard thing.
She is, and she can do accents too. Like she picks them up. Yeah. She picks them up.
I'm not surprised.
And she's dead. That's the thing, is she's dedicated. Like she will, like you can see, like if other people are messing around, like she'll be, like, you see her sort of like doing this, and she's like reading over her notes and everything. Like she's really studying like the whole time.
Yeah. She's my cup of tea. I don't go for I'm not into lazy. This is too hard. This industry is too hard. You better, put your nose to the grindstone and haul ass and do the work to become a great artist, or find someone else to coach you, because I'm so uninterested.
Exactly. Otherwise it becomes evident, right? It's like,
nobody wants to hire you. Nobody wants to work with someone who's like, the world, unlike the song, the world doesn't like wannabes.
Right.
So you're not pretty fly for a white guy.
Right. Exactly. You don't get personal there. Okay, so I would and by the way, if there are any other of any other of our proteges that are watching this either now or later, that feel free to add a comment below so we can give you a mention and say how freaking awesome you are. So
yeah, absolutely.
So my next question to you is like, where did you grow up? Tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
Sure. I grew up in the north of BC in Canada. And it was sometimes a pretty tough growing up situation, and sometimes a pretty wonderful growing up situation, depending on what was going on. I spent lots of time with different people, different parts of my family, and people who took care of me who were not part of my family. And I have a family that's mixed. So I have white guys, pretty fly for a white guy kind of people. And I have Asian people, and I have First Nations or Indigenous people in my family. Got a real mix. And my dad was a musician and a missionary. So we were on the road a lot doing music, predominantly Christian music. That was his bag. It's not my bag, it's his bag. But so we did that a lot, and I got into entertainment through that, being on stage with him. And from there, I went into acting, because it was, I don't sing. I'm not a good singer. I don't play any instruments. My brothers play guitar and drums, but I don't play any instruments, and I can't sing. So the acting thing was like the way to go to still be in the performing area.
All right. So was it like a case of like you were singing and then everybody sort of like started looking at you and like, what are you doing?
Nobody really ever heard me. I was just, my dad took us on the road because couldn't afford a babysitter and wanted us to be with him. So I was there because my dad's in the band.
Mm-hmm.
So that was why. And since I had no affinity for it, I just figured I would do something else, so it wasn't like nobody was pushing me to the front. That's for sure. But
there's like life on the road. Life on the road as a Christian missionary child. That sounds like a pretty amazing upbringing.
Yeah, like it was pretty cool.
Do you have an autobiography yet? Because I want to buy that one. That could be pretty awesome.
Could be a story for sure.
Started singing Kumbaya and then like went into acting and then became an acting coach. So that's another thing is like you attended acting school, right?
I did.
And you went through all of that, and then what happened?
Well, I went to acting school with I happened to be in a really great group of people when I went to acting school, and I started coaching them. They would ask me. I was pretty good in class. I think my upbringing, I saw a number of really amazing things and experienced a lot of beautiful things and tragedies. So it gave me an understanding of humanity that maybe a lot of people my age hadn't had at that point. And so being on the road with, doesn't matter who it is, with a lot of smelly guys, you learn some things. So I started coaching.
I've got smelly guys that live in my house, but they're teenagers.
Yeah, you're not.
I avoid them. I don't think. I just learn. All I learn is to not go near their bedrooms. That's all.
Yeah, it's true. But when you're in a van with them, and they're peeing in a bottle, and it's a whole life that maybe a lot of people haven't, unless you've done it. People haven't really experienced it. So I had a lot of experiences that made me understand human behavior quite young. And so I was able to coach people from that perspective at a young age, and they immediately started booking. And so I had a feeling that this was the way for me. And I also was in a car accident that I don't know if you can tell. Obviously you can probably tell, but I have a one side of my face is not as good as the other. It doesn't come up with the other one, So when I would go for auditions, people would mention it. It was much worse when I was younger. I've been able to work with it, but people would mention that I was asymmetrical and my body was a little asymmetrical then too. So I felt very self-conscious of myself then. And I still at that point had a bit of a drag on one of my legs. I was paralyzed for a little while. So it felt really self-conscious, and I just didn't want to put myself in that situation over and over and over again. And people were not, they would sort of objectively look at you while you were auditioning and say, this was quite a while ago. It's a different world now. But They would say, you're kind of lopsided.
Wow.
Okay, maybe this isn't the way for me. So
that's shocking. That's shocking behavior.
Yeah.
Like I could just imagine them there, like watching you going,
doing my thing.
Like, hang on a minute, that and that side, it's not. Yeah, it's kind of get in the mirror or whatever.
Yeah,
like right in front of your face.
Yeah, did not measure up. So I started. Actually, one of the actors that I'd been coaching, who's a friend, who's a well-known actor now, and she's also a coach. Her name's Sarah Jane Redmond. She's a wonderful human being and an amazing actor and coach, and she's been working nonstop since we were kids. And she's a great mom too. She's all good things. She asked me to direct a play that she was in, and so I directed it, and it just sort of led one thing to another. And so I did a whole bunch of things behind the scenes, including being an agent and being in casting for a bit. One of my students actually ran the the commercial stuff for TELUS. So I did a lot of casting for that kind of stuff. And then she hooked me up with some other people to do BC eggs. Coincidence? I don't know. Now I have chickens. So I did casting for a little while. I was an agent for a little while, but all the while people were asking me to coach them and they were booking. And the satisfaction of seeing someone's dream come true, I should say, you can't beat it. It's and over again, you just really can't beat it.
Yeah.
Casting a commercial is nothing, or whatever it is, giving someone the foundation to live their dreams cannot be beat. And for a long time, I was kind of embarrassed about that. I thought, well, I can do these other things that are more prestigious. I should do these other things that are more prestigious, but I really dig this. I really dig having someone come into a session with me and be afraid. And then, a year later, they book a show. That's unreal. It's unreal. It's indescribable what it feels like. It's just so good. I'm
so
sure
basically, because my next question was, what do you get out of coaching? But you've already answered that. Really, it's like and I know what you mean. Like, I mean, I think for you, it that feeling comes from something that is like you see that person like further down their career. Like I've been a teacher. I've been a teacher for many, many years, and I was a coach kind of part-time throughout that period, and now I do it full-time. So a lot of my clients that I have full-time are, people that I've known for a few months. So like I haven't seen them for years down their career as yet. But with a lot of students that I've had where I've been teaching them English or helping them improve their English, usually you might see them for a few weeks or a few months, and then, follow them on Facebook and then see them like as they like get families and they have children and that kind of thing. So it's a little bit different. Like what you're seeing is you're coaching people to allow them their dream in their career, which that's a wonderful thing too. And it's for me, it's just like every now and then there'll be somebody that comes along and they speak hardly any English, and then you'll sort of you teach them for a while, and like one of these guys he came over from Japan, and he's now an actor here in Canada. The guy's amazing.
Cool.
Like he's been in Masatani. He was he comes and goes, but he lives here now, and he does a lot of background, but he has speaking parts too that he turns up in, and he'll say to me like, "Oh, I was in Pacific Rim," or like some kind of blockbusting movie. Is like, "Yeah, they put me up in this hotel, and you'll see me, like if you don't blink, you'll see me," and I say this, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" Like that, he'll be like third Japanese officer on the ship or something. It's like, wow. And so I kind of understand what you're saying, because like this guy, I've seen him coming from like this skinny kid coming from Japan, knowing nothing except hello, how are you, good morning, goodbye. Like from that all the way up to being able to negotiate a contract and like, seeing him like speaking like this fluent English with an accent that you would never be able to pinpoint him without looking at him. And that's not all my work. That's like, it's like, I feel so proud to be a part of that, and so what I'm saying is like, I can understand, but you've got it like happening, person after person. Is like, I booked it, which is amazing. And I can totally understand why
it's beautiful. And with my clients, up until I moved to the farm, so we moved to the farm about 5 years ago. But up until then, for a long time, I was just working, and even up until the pandemic, I was just working with 10 people privately. And so I would meet them when they were about 10 or 11 and work with them until they were about 30. So I know their souls. I know who these people are. And when I see them, I have a client right now, you might have seen me posting about her on Facebook because it's one of my favorite stories. It's a story for me that resonates deeply because most actors hear this. She was told that not to go after her goals because she was from a small town and nobody from their small town ever did anything like that. She was also told that she was sinning against God. And now she's done a bunch of shows and movies. She's got a pilot coming out, I think, this year. And she's done Fashion Week in New York. She's modeling for Stella McCartney. She's done Fashion Week in New York. She's done Fashion Week in London. And now she's in Paris doing Fashion Week. So I love this story because she was afraid. She was a super fan of one of my more famous clients. And she saw me on Instagram. I don't actually do the Instagram thing. My Donna, who runs our company, she does it. But she saw me on Instagram and she said, "I wish I could coach with you." And I was like, "Why can't you?" "Of course you can." She goes, "Well, can I?" 2 years ago. Now she's actually an international star. Like she is on stage in this. This is the Fashion Week is the highest you can go, and she's 15. She could go either as an actor or a supermodel. I know she's going to go as an actor, but watching someone be devastated by a trusted family friend or someone, it wasn't a family friend for her, but this happens a lot. Uh-huh. Be devastated by this, don't even try, and then move forward beyond that. Screw up their courage and become what they know that they can be. In their gut, they know they can be it.
Well, yeah, and this is something that must be happening to millions of people around the world, right?
Okay.
So, for example, you're brought up by a family of people who are, misunderstanding things that they have read in an old book, and then a very old book. I mean, sure, it's a bestseller, but come on.
Yeah.
And then saying, well, what that means is this.
Yeah,
you can this phrase here in this chapter that's been translated from Aramaic into Greek, into Latin, into finally into early modern English. And then I'm now interpreting that early modern English, that Shakespearean period English, to mean this, that fits with my agenda, means that what you want to do is a sin and you're going to burn in an everlasting pit of fire because your God only loves you if you do what I say it says to do in this book.
Yes.
But the thing is, the amazing thing is that person decided to go against that advice at the risk of losing everything they had, or what they thought was something worth having, right?
Yeah.
Which was basically a family and a support group that would support you in doing exactly what they expected you to do and how to act. Yeah. Actually leaving that behind to do the things that are telling you in your heart, this is what you should be doing. Or not even that, but like for people who are like, okay, this is who I am. Like these are my feelings that, and actually breaking from that must be such an incredibly scary thing to do.
Yeah. Right? She has the most exceptional family. Her name is Lily, and she has the most exceptional family. They are Lily Sheets. They are very supportive. Her brothers and her mom and dad will do anything for her. But her community has they've come around now that she's doing it. But people, I mean, she was a child. She's 15 now. She was 13 then. It's it's very, to me, I find it appalling that you would not even give someone their shot, that you would tell them not to take their shot, at a young age. It's crazy. Like, I think anyone can do it at any time. I have clients who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they book, they get gigs, and they're new, so it's not like they have a long history of acting and people are calling them in because they love them. They're brand new. They're brand spanking new. You can do it. It doesn't matter what your circumstance is in life. There's a way. And I love being the one who helps you find the way.
Yeah.
And I love being the one who like, to the people who said no to you. Like, that to me it's astonishing. Shame on you.
Well, I think with the right attitude, somebody saying no to you is just really, I have to be careful how I say this, because this could be taken in the wrong way. This could be taken completely out of context and interpreted in the wrong way. I was going to say, being told no should be encouragement. It's like,
yeah, I get what you're saying, and I know what you mean. It can be taken the wrong way, but you don't know. When you're on the when you're the person saying no, you don't know. Your intention is not to give that person fire. Your intention is to kill that dream. So I don't give them any outs, because you don't know whether that child or that adult or that person has, if they're just hanging on to their dream by a thread, and a few months of encouragement could give them the stuff that they need. But instead you choose to piss all over their dream because you're afraid, or because you have some crazy idea about what God, you got a line to God. Like you said, it's an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
It's your idea in your head, and you should keep those ideas in your head, because no one needs them. And also, this girl is going to change the world. She is a passionate environmentalist. Most of my clients have a passion outside of acting. Caleb Worthy is the actor that she admired. He does environmental work with the former U.S. Vice President Al Gore. And so he's at a very high level working with people trying to affect environmental change, and so will Lily. And to me, you could have squished that dream. You could have, so you don't know what a person is capable of. Shame, shame, shame. I'm advocating shame. I know I'm not supposed to, according to Brene Brown, but don't you touch my artists. You will be very sorry.
Yeah,
I will take revenge.
I totally, I do agree. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the irony is that the people who shame should be shamed.
Yes.
It's like, but they're shaming, but shaming for the wrong things. But this is of course it's cyclical, because you can be like understanding and understand where they're coming from when they're saying, no, you must not do this. This is really not in your life story, because it must not, because if you do, it's going to be really bad. And that's coming from a place of fear on behalf of the one who's telling them that, because it's like that person, whatever that fear could be, it could be the fear of like in one case where it might be a religious parent or a family member saying, you can't do this, and they're saying it from a place of fear where they really believe that this means gonna be eternal damnation for you for that, because of my interpretation of what's in this whatever the book is, for whatever religion that person has. Or it could be from a place of fear of an individual who is like, well, it never worked for me, or I did it and I tried and I failed, or it it chewed me up and it spat me out, and I don't want that to happen to you. So it can be happening from a place of fear and love at the same time,
for sure,
but it's the wrong message. It's it's hard. Like
I get it. I have very little time for that, because the work that we do is too difficult to, if I knew that person on a personal level, then maybe I would have some more compassion for them. But right now, what they are to me and to my clients is an obstacle. And as somebody who teaches acting, I know what to do with obstacles. You get over them. You find a way to make yourself better, or you take whatever tactic you need to take to get to what your strategy is, which is to become the best possible version of yourself in the field that you want to be in. Yeah. That's the most important thing. So I get my knickers in a knot. I don't want to have compassion for those people because I need it for the people who need me. So I limit my, I limit my love.
Basically I'm just, I'm not advocating compassion for those people. Like, those are the kind of people that would make me really what I used to do. But I don't do so much now because I just realize it just takes so much energy. I used to I would respond to a Facebook post. Like somebody would post something and I'd be straight in there, be like, blah, 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 blah. And nowadays I might do it a little bit just for fun, because I'll be like kind of prodding the person and seeing how far they will go before they start name calling me or whatever. But usually, and then what happens, I'll be like, Mark, you're wasting time. Like you're wasting your time and your energy. Like you could be doing something creative, furthering your own goals instead of like going around in circles. But what you're doing is it's like, okay, this person is an obstacle or their belief is an obstacle to you, remove it. I just want to change tack a little bit now and then go a little bit more into detail really in terms of your technique, because what I read about you is that you use the Michael Chekhov technique, and I just wondered, I understand that is the one that's espoused by actors like Anthony Hopkins, Helen Hunt, and Jack Nicholson is another one. And I just wondered what it is. Like, if you could tell us a little bit more for people who don't know what the Chekhov technique is, what it is, and also what it is for you about that technique that you prefer to say like a Strasberg or Meisner.
Well, it's timeless. So Chekhov has you get in touch with your body. So you learn to stimulate. And I, by the way, I like everybody. I like Chekhov. I like Meisner. I studied Meisner for many years, and with great Meisner coaches, not with Meisner himself, but Chekhov gets you in touch with your body. And so you learn to express emotions and access emotions through your body rather than going into your own personal hell or anything that you may not be healed from. So my reason for going into teaching emotional connection through Chekhov came from watching students of mine try to access emotion through their experience, see that experience either become healed, so it was no longer effective for them to access, or it gave them so much pain that they self-medicated with drugs or alcohol, and it didn't turn out well. So I wanted to see a healthy and effective way for people to be able to be in touch with emotions and turn them on and off at their leisure. So it was easier for them emotionally, and I felt it was more effective for me and more responsible for me to teach them this way. So that's why I started with that. Meisner, I use all the time. Acting is being yourself under imaginary circumstances. Stanislavski, I use as well. I use sense memory kind of stuff. However, Stanislavski was around when there was no film and television. Storytelling is very different now. Stanislavski was theater. It was for a big audience. The stories were longer. They weren't told as quickly. And so the methodology needs to be adjusted for it to be effective. So I use storytelling as a way of hooking actors into understanding the way stories are told. And that's part of Stanislavski, but I use it in a different way. I use the techniques differently and adjust them. And I'm very much into people booking. So it's very hard, and I like being successful. And for me to be successful, it means my actors have to be successful. And there's nothing like getting on set and having the skill set to be able to do the job and do it well, and not go get drunk or stoned afterwards because you're so messed up from the emotional world that you've just been in. Actors have to be kidnapped. They have to see their parents be killed. They have to, and then you have to see your mom get killed, and then you have to have breakfast with her in the next scene because it's not shot in order. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes on. There's a lot of technical stuff. There's a lot of understanding the tone and culture of networks and stories, all of those things that didn't happen in Stanislavski. So I want to teach people how to do that quickly, effectively, and safely. So I do that. I create classes that show you how to access the emotion, how to access the tone and culture of a show that is exactly what casting wants. Mm-hmm. I teach people how to use patterns in auditioning so that people get hooked on them, because we all love patterns. If there's a pattern, we can hang on to it and we can get to the end of the story. So the reason that I like Meisner, or that I like Chekhov, is because Chekhov is timeless and it has to do with your body. Everything else can be pushed into any sort of system that you're in, whether it's a Disney system, whether it's a CW, whether it's one of those gritty Netflix kind of things. Anything you do, oh, thanks, Lexi. Anything you do, you can do in that system. Any emotion you have, you can do in that system. But for example, if you're doing Hallmark, you can still have really deep emotion, but just cover them up and hide them because it's Christmas and you gotta be happy, but your dad just died, so you're not super happy, but you're not, you know what I mean? So you take the culture of the show into account. Yeah. But that's why not Stanislavski. And even though Chekhov was Stanislavski's protege, he had a more timeless way of looking at things. Mm-hmm. You just got me going.
Oh no, it's great. Like that's my whole point, is like to get you going, and I love that I tapped into that, because that's something that I found really interesting when I looked at I went and looked at your website and saw that the way it was arranged was, it was like, okay, acting for Hallmark, acting for Disney, and it's like I never would have thought about that, but now I see what you're talking about is like the pattern. So you've obviously looked at the kinds of patterns that are coming up there, and then going with that as like, okay, this is how you do it if you want to get an audition for this company or whatever. That's interesting.
If you want to book it. And as far as I know, I'm the only person who does this, but it really helps you understand the tone and culture of the show. And recently, and that's respectful, right? So I respect the people who work on those shows. You may not love Star Trek. You may not think it's high art, but for me,
I love Star Trek. How can you say such a thing?
It's holy for me. Mm-hmm. Star Trek is holy for me because it was it was a place for me to escape from difficult times. So for me, it's everything. Mm-hmm. So some people might not feel that way, but if you can have them respect the show and the people who made it and the actors who were there, if you teach that respect, then they will. That's why I teach the culture of the show and network. CW, for example, has a inclusivity culture that's built into the executive suite. That's their whole mission, is to dare to defy cultural norms. So that's why you see so many people of color. You see so many people who are LGBTQ. You see people who are differently abled. You see in CW, as much as it seems like CW, who cares? It's like The Flash. Well, it's something. They're doing something really amazing. So I think that it's respectful to teach it that way. Mm-hmm. I think, as far as I know, I'm the only one. But I know what I was going to tell you. My little client Daphne, she's the lead, and she's a lead in a series called Scaredy Cats, and I think she's in the Babysitters Club. I'm not sure if she's a lead. I think she's recurring. She's 11 or 12. Kids tend to grow. And she had an audition, and then I said, "You didn't call me for it." And she goes, "Oh, it was Hallmark. I knew what to do." She knew, and she booked it, Right. So it's giving the actors the sense of pride and self-respect and autonomy so that they can go in and do it without me, which is my goal. I want them to be successful, and and
the confidence as well, because it's like,
yes,
it's walking a fine line, right? I mean, it's a tightrope, because like on the one side, it's like having the confidence to like not shit yourself like in front of these people that are obviously judging you from the moment you walk in that room.
Yeah.
And on the other side, being so confident that you're a cocky bastard that they think, we can't work with this fucker, like that. And so it's getting that fine line of like being respectful, but not like kowtowing or like being, like a rabbit in the headlight, a deer in the headlights, or some kind of animal in
headlights.
In headlights.
If you really have confidence, you're always respectful, because I teach my students the thou principle. So I see the thou, I witness the thou in me, and I witness the thou in you. We are the same. So I teach them to have that principle. They love themselves as much as they love the other. I mean, if the other is not respectful to them, you don't matter to me. You're out the door. I don't pay attention to you. But I think when you're confident, you will not be like that. You will not be rude to people. At least that's my hope. I haven't heard of I've heard somebody once had attitude, but for the most part, my clients are nice. They're good people. They don't last.
This is a perfect segue into my next question, which is like, have you ever, without naming any names, or giving away any clues, like, have you ever worked with someone that was really difficult? And like, can you tell me a story about what happened?
Yeah, and I will name names. When I was
name those names, baby. Get them out there. What was it? You're a shamer.
Yeah, I am deeply. No, I can, because everybody knows. So when I was in my 20s, I directed a feature film that went to the New York Film Festival, and a company called Miramax asked for a copy of the script, the film. In those days, it was real film, so they asked for like the film, and it was it was a huge moment for me, because I loved Miramax. I loved everything that they'd done. For newer people, they won't know, but Miramax was it. They won all the Oscars. They were the company, but it was also owned by Harvey Weinstein. And so I went to a party for Miramax after they asked for myself and Michelle Sands-Partridge, who is an amazing acting coach. We were working together then. And we went to a party, and Michelle was off talking to somebody. I'm not sure who. She was, but so a couple of publicists who worked for Harvey Weinstein came up to me and said that, good, congratulations. This is great that, this never happens to new filmmakers. It was my first film. And they said, by the way, a blowjob would go a long way in getting your film seen. And I was devastated, and it really played a number on me. I never met him. I never had anything to do with him. I don't know how this conversation happened, like why this happened, but it put me into a tailspin and made me kind of crazy for a number of years, where I just thought, if this is what it's like at this level, why am I even trying? Why do I even do this? I don't want to be like, I've had, I was like a cute 20-year-old. I had enough of this from people who are not hugely successful. I didn't need that from somebody who could ruin my whole life if I said no. And so it really took a toll on me. It sent me, I think, probably until I never talked about it until he got arrested. But it changed me, and it changed the way even now it's making me very emotional, but it changed the way I coached. I was already an acting coach at that time, but I became very, very powerfully feminist in my work. And I talked to girls about setting themselves up and learning how to say no before people even asked. I said, tell your agents you won't do nudes, you won't do this, or you will, or whatever, but make it clear what you'll do and what you won't do and where you'll be and where you won't be, and don't go to hotels and don't do this, like, whoo, whoo, whoo.
A recurring story I hear from so many actors, female actors, women actors, is about so come back to my trailer. Like it's become cliche because it's something that you hear all the time, and
it's not just women. It's not just women. I have a friend who had the same thing happen to him from Harvey Weinstein's company. Harvey wasn't asking him for sex. It was a different thing altogether, but it was as offensive. And my friend is a incredibly powerful man, and this happened to him. So it's having too much power. This is why I teach my students the thou principle. This is why I teach them how to respect themselves and warn them about these people, because I think I was a fairly strong person at that time, but it destroyed me. And I didn't even tell my best friends. I didn't tell my partner. I didn't tell anyone. I was so ashamed. I thought that he thought I was that kind of girl. And for me, it was devastating, like absolutely devastating. And I'm so glad that people like Rose McGowan, who got, everybody said was crazy, and Rosanna Arquette, who lost her career because she said no. Like, she was huge. She was like Julia Roberts. And then all of a sudden
she had a song written about her,
She had 2 songs written about her. 2 songs, Rosanna and In Your Eyes. Like 2 huge songs.
I didn't know that one was about her.
Yeah. I worked with her many years ago. But anyway, it just it's hard on a person. It's hard on a person. And if you're an artist, you're sensitive, and when they get you when you're young and you're sensitive, it can have a huge effect on you. So part of what I want to do is make every single person, male or female, or anything in between, feel confident enough that won't destroy them. I mean, I'm very happy with where I ended up, but I might not be.
Yeah.
It's lucky for me that I really love what I do. But I mean, I was going in another direction, and I was having people who were very powerful ask me to do wonderful things, like, write scripts. And I got asked to teach at NYU, and I got lots of really incredible opportunities that I completely destroyed because I was so devastated by this. And everything was an offense. I was on the defense all the time.
The thing is, I mean, the terrible thing is that we're not talking about like this is one instance with one particular person. This was endemic in the culture for decades. Like, until the whole Me Too movement was even like a hashtag. Like, it was, it was in it. Like, it was probably, this was like really within the very fabric of the industry, going back as far as before there were even talkies. Like going back, when everything was like accompanied by a fucking piano in the theater, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mae West.
So, that's how far this kind of shit goes back. Like and like you say, it's the power.
It goes back forever. It doesn't matter if it's film or what it is. It goes back forever, and it's that women are women, but powerful people commodify other people, and they make them into something they can buy and sell, and I don't think you have to be that way. I really don't. I think that, there's another way to do it. But I think about I have many girlfriends that this came out, that when this came out about Harvey, I found out so much. I have a friend, I won't say her name or anything about her, except for that she's extremely powerful. And it is the kind of person who you would be like, oh my God. He put articles in magazines about her. He had things written about her to destroy her. She didn't let it, but she could have. It could have. And so, I mean, I know he had the Mossad, which is the Israeli army, go after Rose McGowan. He was like, you have billions of dollars, you can do anything. So I'm not the only person whose life he ruined. He ruined a lot of lives. And
so that's this is the other thing. It's like it's not about sex, because like you say, he could have paid for that easily. It was about just power and control.
Yeah, just fun.
That's
fun.
It.
It's just yeah. I always thought of him as like a cat. Like I have 3 cats, and they really love to kill mice. And they love playing with them while they're dying. They like throwing them in the air and all that kind of stuff. And it's very natural for them. And I think he's one of those, he's just a cat. He's a guy who enjoys that. It's fun. That's what I came to, not knowing him at all, never having met him, but just observing his behavior. That's what I thought. It's like,
but this is the thing. I mean, like you said, this is natural for cats. And
it's natural for people too. It's just not what we want.
But the thing is, cats don't have that capacity to be able to go beyond that, right?
They do with the people they like. My cats are really nice to me. They're just not nice to me.
Do you feed them though, right?
Sometimes.
Right, but
I do.
That again, it's the power thing, right? Like a cat will look at you and think, okay, that's not food because it gives me food, and I can't eat all of that in one sitting. But the moment that you drop dead, that cat's eating your face off. So I mean, we've got 2 cats, and I know for sure I've got no qualms about this. So cats are just like, okay, that's food, that isn't. That could be food, but not yet.
Yeah.
That's
not
it.
Yet.
And like you said, they like to play with their food. I know this because I hear a certain meow from one of the cats that says, I know what that meow means. It's like, hey, I've got something that I am playing with right now. And I know that. And that's at 3 o'clock in the morning. But the thing is, with humans, it's like we have the proven ability to go beyond that, and once you get power, to use it in a way that isn't just for you to I could do this with people, but what do I know? I don't have any power.
I think it's perfectly natural. I just think it's also natural to say, fuck right off, you go to jail. I think it's not appealing, it's not nice, it's not right, it's not good, but it's natural. That's why we have war is natural, abuse is natural. It's all natural stuff that we see occurring naturally without any it happens on its own. It's just a natural occurrence. But I just think it's not what we want, and we need to he went to jail, and that's the right and good thing to happen. I think. I wish it would have happened earlier. Denise is saying This Changes Everything was a great film, and it was, but it was directed by a man. Just so you know, Denise. Gina Davis sort of dropped the ball on that one. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a kind of a joke, but in the movie, she's talking about how most things are directed by men and most shows have only male characters. And then the documentary is directed by a man. So I kind of like, it was like, okay, you couldn't find a woman to do that.
Irony.
There are lots of really good.
Yeah.
Irony. But it is a good film to see.
So the next question on my list, it's a little bit of a whiplash because they're it's got absolutely nothing to do with anything we were just talking about some really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And this next one is really not that heavy at all by comparison.
Okay.
But it was I don't even know how to ask this with a straight face.
No, go ahead.
How important do you think accents are to an actor? And have you ever worked with a dialect coach?
Well, I don't work with a dialect coach, but I refer you to work with my clients, or if there's other dialect coaches, if you're not available. But how important? It's everything. Because the way a character speaks is telling you the culture of the character. It's telling you the story and the life and the humanity of the character. It's not only, I know you work with dialect, but I know you also probably work with ways of speaking and intonation and all that kind of stuff. And that's telling you a lot about what kind of person this is. I think it's imperative. It's incredibly powerful. And actually, if I would have had some more work with a dialect coach at a younger age, maybe I would have found my own voice and my own character earlier, because when I went to film school or acting school, I learned about voice and I found some power and confidence from working with my voice. I used to pitch up a lot and be really like, I was really pleasant and easy to be around, but now I'm not. Now I'm the boss.
You're a freaking nightmare.
Well, no, but I'm not easy. I'm the boss. And when you're the boss, you have to make the hard decisions. You have to do the difficult things. And so, finding your voice and knowing the character's voice and being able to find the dialect that tells the character's culture is huge. It's everything. It's not everything, but it's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. I couldn't have said it better. And also not forgetting, you're a mom, right?
I am a mom.
So having that voice that says, I'm the boss here is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have, yes. And I think it's important for children to respect their mothers as much as they respect their fathers. Maybe differently, but it's important. And if you're not able to hold your own and have your voice heard, if you're pitching up, then people don't take you seriously. So, honey, can you please go make your bed is really different than, honey, can you please go make your bed? It's a different thing.
None of that happens around here. Actually, the whole respect differential is totally different from the way you just painted it in my house.
Yeah.
It's pretty sure they have in terms of I'll be like, okay, can you unload the dishwasher? And they'll be like, yeah, sure. But their mom is like, you got to unload the dishwasher now. I'm like, so it's always the dishwasher or the cat litter. Could be the cat litter. Actually, when I walk out through this door behind me, I got to see if he's done that cat litter. Cause
yeah. See, my son's 10 and he does kindling. He's been doing kindling since he was 8. So, we expect a lot of our kids.
What's kindling? I thought that's something you put in to make a fire.
Yes, we live off the grid. So he has to take an axe and go out and cut up the wood and bring the kindling in and make his bed. We don't have a dishwasher. We have these. Yeah, we're pretty hardcore. But I think when you expect a lot of someone, you get a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I would, what? It'd be a great exchange. Can we switch kids out? And you send yours to us. I'm going to send my lazy bastard to you. And then I want to see, Actually, he loves camping and stuff, right? But I want
Yeah.
to see him chopping that wood. I don't know. He knows what he knows. He knows how to use an axe. Like he was a
Yeah.
scout, right? But
Was the business end of the axe.
yeah, but I want you to work him hard. That's the thing. Like if it comes down to like that wood is what's going to keep you warm through the winter. Like got to get out there. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, my kid doesn't do the bucking of the logs or anything like that because we don't let him use a chainsaw, but he does use an axe, and he has since he was little, and it just makes you competent. And he's actually pretty good at setting things up so he doesn't hurt himself, which is important.
That's hella important. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what would you I'm going to move on to another question now. Otherwise, this is going to take us 3 hours, and we're going to lose the 3 viewers we already have. So,
and also, I have to go pick up my sister from the airport.
Exactly, you did tell me that. So let's crack on. Let's crack on. How much time do you have left?
I have about 3 minutes left.
3 minutes? Okay. So I was just going to ask. Let's see, which one can I choose? What's the biggest myth that you see shared as advice over and over again?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
I chose the wrong question, didn't I? For like 2 minutes left. You have 2 minutes. Go.
So it's a good question, and it's there are so many that you have to be pretty. That's a big one. You don't. There are roles that you have to be young and pretty. There are roles. I mean, that's not really advice, but advice is.
It's a belief, right?
It's a belief. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So you see people saying that all the time, and it's just not true. Like when you watch, it's true to some extent, but if you go to an audition room, you're going to see a lot of girls who fell off the bus that are so pretty. It's the bus that are all the pretty girls get off of, and they all look exactly the same to some degree. If you're the one, they're probably going to get the pretty girl role, but they can't all be pretty girl roles. If you're the one who's not the pretty girl, if you're the one who's the funny girl or the whatever, if you're the Melissa McCarthy, you're getting that role. It's not just the perfect girls. There are so many of them. It's unreal. There are so many of them. I've seen them for years, like since I was 20 years old. I've seen these girls come and go. And that's what they do. They come, they show up for class. It's harder than they think, and they leave. And they have a passport to Easy Street that they use all the time.
Right.
They've not learned how to be great. And when you have someone come in who's got that spark, and if they're pretty, well, that's great. It's a little bit easier. Right. But if they've got that spark, people are going to turn over heaven and earth to help them. And that is the thing that really matters. If you've got it and you work at it, everyone is going to lift you up, lift you up, lift you up. Even if you're not booking. I have a client who hasn't been booking for forever, and she's just good. And people just want to work with her. We'll find the way. We'll find the way to give her whatever it is that edge is that's going to tip her over. Mm-hmm. All the people who love and support her will find that. It'll happen. It's just, it's like, well, I want it to happen now. But mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not about beauty. Beauty helps, but it's about being able to tap into that thing that is beautiful within you and bring it out and do it in a powerful, beautiful way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a look-based and there was a beauty.
Denise brought up a great quote.
Yes.
And it really says everything. Yeah, it's a looks-based industry, not a beauty-based industry, but it's about the character that you fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. Like,
it is. And once, Denise is right, but once you get past that, then it's not anymore. It's about you. That people will move heaven and earth when you're good, and Denisa is good. And so is Lexi, by the way. Lexi's not saying as much, but she is.
That was Lexi's contribution. That's okay.
When you're good, people will change the role for you. I always think of Whoopi Goldberg. She's amazing. She played roles that were meant for white men. And her name is Whoopi Goldberg. Like, she has it. And people, oh my God, people do anything to work with her. And she's another Star Trek fan. So there. Yeah.
I mean, the roles are out there. And like the general belief is that, there's not very much for, women of a certain age or, men of an older age or, but it is like when you get into like the real stuff, like that they're casting for the person that's right for that actual role rather than the pretty face. Like it's what it comes down to. But I mean, I know loads of actors who are not, they're not pretty faces, like in their they book, right? They get the roles.
Absolutely.
They found their thing, they've got that spark, and they go for it like hell for leather. So yeah. Okay, so I should let you go and pick up your sister from the airport. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on to talk like that. We had a wonderful chat. There was some really awesome stuff. So, cool. And stay in touch. I
will absolutely
in the future. And thanks to everybody that came on to watch and also contributed. It was fantastic. Great to know that people are watching. So
yes, absolutely. All right. Okay. I'll see you on screen.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.